Samsung produce its next gen A chip, which will be built at Samsung's next new Texas lab. And basically, this will power everything from Tesla's FSD to Optimus robots, AI training data centers, et cetera. And this is kind of another step within Tesla's pivot to becoming a real AI plus robotics powerhouse.
Not weird, but is it efficient to make a robot like a human?
And for our community, if you have anything that you want us to try, and give feedback on, we'd be happy to do that. This whole thing has been an experiment for Tito and I to just get some time together and chat about what's going on in the news and try different stuff. So any ideas, we're like more than open to testing things out. So we'll love if you have any feedback either here or DM on LinkedIn or whatever else.
We noticed the last Grok 4 versus ChatGPT did really well, almost 1,000 views. Thank you for all the people that tuned in. It sounds like that, and maybe that was just a good title, or maybe we caught lightning in a bottle, but we'll try more of that and see if we can't do it again. 3, 2, 1, go! Rush Hour Podcast. Another week's gone by. Lots of tech news right now happening. At first I was like, oh, it's a dead week. But now I'm like, all right, we've got the DeepSeek and China's latest AI, which claims to be even better than DeepSeek. And then there's Samsung making chips for Tesla. And then I was going to talk about this DNA test and how I used ChatGPT to give me a bunch of advice. But let's start. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with Tesla.
All right, let's start with Tesla. What do you thought? Samsung chips, what's going on?
Yeah, that's generally a fan favorite. So Tesla and Samsung, I think today, just announced a new $16.5 billion deal. Basically, the reason why it's a big deal is because Tesla is now having Samsung produce its next gen A chip, which will be built at Samsung's next new Texas lab. And basically, this will power everything from Tesla's FSD to Optimus robots, AI training data centers, et cetera. And this is kind of another step within Tesla's pivot to becoming a real AI plus robotics powerhouse, and starting to incorporate this multi-vendor strategy. So like before, they were creating chips. I think it was with NVIDIA. Now they're starting to do some chips with TSMC, which is manufacturing their A15 chip. And now Samsung's got this new big partnership and huge win from them. And I think that the key piece here is this trend that we've been seeing, which is like, it's not quite there because obviously NVIDIA is still killing it and most companies are working with them. But these companies from Tesla, I believe Meta, Google, et cetera, starting to try to either work with other partners or bring more stuff in-house. And I think we're probably going to see more of that. It's trying to own the full AI stack, software to the hardware to all the deployment. So I think it's a smart strategy. What did you pulled out of the news?
I mean, part of me was like, is this because I saw it was Texas. They specifically said Texas. I'm like, all right, is this a tariff thing? Is this avoiding NVIDIA thing? They just felt like there were a lot of implications here with Tesla going and making the announcement. It seemed like a big deal. I wasn't sure where. So the way you spoke about it makes sense to me. It's kind of like announcement that we're doing it in the US. We're not doing it through NVIDIA. There are other people in town that are in the game right now that we're going to rely on, and Tesla being who they are, and usually making everything themselves. Not to say they won't, but interesting that they went that route, right? Because you tend to think they're one step ahead.
I think so. And then, like I mentioned, I think a lot of these companies, you look at Apple, you look at Meta, Amazon, now Tesla, they're all building custom silicon. The goal there is for greater efficiency, more control, French AI capabilities. And I think what's really interesting is you think of like the Valley, and when you think of companies who are fully integrated, I think, Tesla is starting to kind of come into, that perception. But for me, the first company I think it was like Apple, right? Like, what did they do that was super great about all their products? It's like the integration of everything they did for the software, hardware, et cetera. It seems like more companies are taking that approach, and that might be kind of the new wave in terms of how this technology is developed and kind of the core strategy.
I've been thinking about this Optimus robot thing. I wanted to get your thoughts. Is it like, part of me is like, is it weird not weird, but is it efficient to make a robot like a human, or does it make more sense to have a bunch of robots that are designed for specific tasks instead of like an all-encompassing robot that does a little bit of everything but has like the same characteristics as a human? It's I don't know. I don't know if that's. It seems like you've got the world like available to you. Why are you modeling it after human? Like it's basically an ego trip, right? Like humans are the greatest. We're gonna make another
Yeah.
like doing your dish. Why not have a machine that specializes in doing dishes, and one that I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking of like Jetsons a little too much. The car drives itself. You don't need a human in the car to drive the thing. The
Yeah.
car is the robot. Maybe the sink should do the dishes and not a robot. Maybe there should be a dishwasher or a laundry, a washing or dryer that just does all your laundry. You don't need another machine to go in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think it's an interesting question. I feel like there may again, this is where listen, we're two non-tech guys. We're going to talk about some stuff that may be a bit out of our depth. We'll see. We'll see where it goes, right? But I think for me, when I think about this, it's like, okay, there are those discrete use cases where some other form of AI-enabled robot technology that doesn't look like a human, doesn't take that form, is better. But the way that I think about it is I feel like the human form and the dexterity of the fingers and ability to do certain things with that kind of body structure is helpful for a lot of the tasks that we typically do. So yeah, you get one's doing dishwasher and one's doing, cleaning your floors, one's washing your car and running errands, or you can just have someone that kind of looks like us that's doing the task, do a bit of everything, right? And there's probably also something of the mirroring, which is like, okay, it's interesting because it can kind of go both ways.
Yeah.
Either you have this robot in the home and it's like, okay, this feels kind of familiar,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because it mirrors us, or it's like this is creepy as hell that this other thing that kind of looks like me. Like it's only 20 years before this thing could look exactly like me.
Yeah, that's the part. Like
Doing
why?
this stuff.
Yeah, going down the path of it looking like us, to me, depends on the task, right? Like you can't tell
Yeah.
me a plumber if his hands, he doesn't need fingers. If it, instead of a hammer, his hand was a hammer or a screwdriver or a nail, whatever. Like it just doesn't. I don't know. It just seems like they could be a different form factor. That would be way more efficient for certain tasks, but I could be wrong. Maybe ultimately it should just look like us and be able to transform into things. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I don't
just trying to get like the Optimus Prime version of transform into a car, not transform into
like you can't
my
say
lawnmower.
walking is super efficient. There are literally wheels and bikes and things that move much more efficiently and fingers to do things. We use our fingers to hold tools. Why not just be the tool? I could be overthinking it and having long nights of not my mind wandering.
I love this. I love this thought experiment. Yeah, maybe it comes with like a built-in toolkit, and it could just open up its chest, and needs a hammer, kind of screws that on, whatever else. I just think it's fascinating, man, that we're talking about this
It is
within a relatively short period of time. It's like I think of like almost think about it as in a religious way. It's like before ChatGPT, after ChatGPT in terms of the way of thinking about the world, right? Like,
right.
and I think like the after ChatGPT world is just all these all these new opportunities, all these new use cases have been opened up, and it's like a whirlwind. It's really a whirlwind to try to keep up with everything. But I think that I admit I personally was a little creeped out, maybe initially having kind of robot, but now I'm like, listen, if I can come home and this thing has cleaned up my entire house
Right.
and done all my chores, run back, got the Instacart, and maybe pick up the kids. Maybe not initially pick up the kids, by itself, right? But like, can
Right.
do all that, and you get all that free time back,
It'd be amazing.
and that'd be amazing.
It's
That'd
just,
be amazing.
I
So
guess in my mind, it went to like, I still need everything and a robot. Why? Like, I don't, I could be, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm asking for too much. I'm just thinking like the robot picking up a vacuum makes no sense. Like, you're a robot. Just suck the thing up, whatever. Like, your feet should just be a vacuum. Like, I don't know.
but that's the interesting part, right? If you think about to the earlier point we were talking about, which is hardware integration, right?
Yeah.
And I imagine it's a whole ecosystem. So maybe the Optimus is the primary
Yes.
robot within the ecosystem, and then you have all these other ancillary things, and they all talk to each other, and they're all kind of coordinating, and that's ultimately what the world looks like. So it might be closer to that. as
Yeah.
opposed to that humanoid robot
This
doing
could be
everything.
a lot of micro purchases, right? Like, hey, you want the dishwashing upgrade? $100. You want the
Mm-hmm.
vacuum attachment? Another $100 a month. You want that?
Yeah.
Like, next thing you know, our entire paycheck is going to this Optimus thing. But
yeah, man, it's like all these subscription services for streaming platforms.
Maybe the Optimus will be the ad delivery mechanism that we're all marketers are waiting for.
That'll actually be hilarious. Like it's like, okay, either can pay this much or we'll just have this Optimus thing be, talking about ads every 5 minutes.
Right.
It's like a Black Mirror
The vacuum
episode that's kind
sounder
of like
is going to
that.
be ads. The vacuum sound is ads, and it's going to be during primetime hours, and you're going to have to watch them and listen to them. But hey, everything's on the table. All right,
Yeah.
that was way off
Yeah.
topic. My bad.
No, that's good. I mean, sometimes you got to mix it up. I think it's interesting to see kind of what this thought exercise leads to.
The other one was
around DeepSeek.
Yes.
Yes. Z.AI, which is another Chinese company, just launched an agentic AI model that basically automatically breaks tasks into subtasks for better results. It's open source. It runs on just 8 NVIDIA H20 chips, which for those of you who are not crazy savvy like us, is basically way fewer chips that are required to kind of run these models. Typically, very high cost efficiency. I think this GLM 4.5, which what the model is called, charges just 11 cents per million token input versus 28 cents per million token input that we're seeing from DeepSeek. So vastly undercutting DeepSeek and US competitors. And apparently the model size is half of DeepSeek. So what's kind of the importance of this? If you think about all of the uproar that happened, and you saw a significant hit in NVIDIA's stock price once DeepSeek was launched, you still have these Chinese companies that are coming out with these models. They're scaling faster, they're cheaper. Some would argue, in some contexts, smarter as well. And the lead of these other LLMs, these other companies within kind of research space that have raised all this money, that kind of get all the fanfare, et cetera. It's like, well, on the margins, is it really that much different than these cheaper models? And it's actually an interesting thought exercise that I've been going through recently, because I pay for ChatGPT now, for ChatGPT Pro, and it's $20 a month. Now, if this model was $0 and the same capabilities, would I switch? And right now, my answer is no. And the reason why is because I found that ChatGPT, based on the memory, has so much context on the different things, like over the course of almost 2 years, different projects that I worked on, and my voice, and it's become such an operating system that switching everything over to even a cheaper model right now, at least for me in my use cases, feels like a lift that if it's only $20 a month, it's not worth it. Now, but increase to $100, then yeah, of course. But I think $20 to $50, I'm willing to kind of eat that relative to the value that I get from it. But what do you think? Is there kind of like a margin, what do you think about the benefit of these cheaper models versus ones you pay for? And yeah.
You're absolutely right. There's a history. The same thing happened when I was like, all right, I'm signing up for, I was just thinking about it for myself when I heard the Grok news. I'm like, when I make the switch, it's $10 more. How much better does it need to be? And that's when I was like, all right, you know what? Just for the podcast, I'm going to sign up for it, do it. But in reality, I would not have done it because I have all my history in Chat GPT. But now that we're on this train, I think, you listeners, you tell us, we're going to be buying more of these things, trying them out and seeing what the difference is in them. I feel like that was pretty useful for me. It makes me more comfortable in ChatGPT, knowing that, hey, I tried something else and it was slower. It was whatever. It didn't have all the features that ChatGPT has, but you kind of need to go through it to do it. So I think, as a next task, I'm going to try DeepSeek next, pay for it. And then let's compare it to ChatGPT and just go through it. It's kind of like a real life example of using these things and seeing what the benefits are.
Yeah,
I won't have the history, but
no, that's true. But I think that it'll be interesting, like relative to the primary use cases that you have, and kind of using the same ones for each test, so you kind of get an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah,
will be interesting. I talk about it within the context of using these models as an operating system. Do you feel like it's the same for you as well, or is it more? Because I know you use it for kind of healthcare use cases. I'm not sure how much you use it in the context of like things you need to do for a job or like research outside of that. What are some other things that you use it for?
I'm definitely in the health and personal side. I don't really like to use it for work because I'm scared I'm sharing sensitive data, and I just don't want to do that yet because I feel like one day there's going to be a leak of like every account and all the things that you've done in your account, and then people are going to once again feel exposed. So I don't put things like that. I don't put kids' information in there. I treat it like a basic person or a doctor or something like that. But I probably don't use it to all of its. Like there are times where I'm like, I should ask that, but I'm not going to because that feels a little like crossing the lines.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of I'll give you the example of the thing we're going to talk about next. I went and got a life DNA test, which is like a methylation test, which
Hmm.
basically like you swab yourself, you send it. It's expensive. It was like $400. You send it in, and it gives you your sort of like DNA. It does all these tests and tells you your propensity for certain things according to your DNA. So like diabetes or cancer or whatever, and it pumps out a report. And it will say, "Hey, here your DNA is prone to this and that. You should look out for certain things." I took all that, put it into Chat GPT, and said, "Hey, what other questions can you answer? Can I answer that would help you develop a very specialized health plan for me?" And it was really cool. It did it. Like it pumped it out. I gave age and weight and what I like to do and what my lifestyle is. And then it pumped out like things I should do, things I should watch out for, vitamins I should take, my diet, things I should eat, fruits I should eat, things I should avoid. It's pretty. I wouldn't say it's like a life changing thing, but it's like stuff
Yeah.
nice to know. On top of what like your daily extras.
What I'm curious about is with those kind of more medical use cases, how much does it hallucinate there? Okay, is there a way to go and actually check to see if it's giving you the right answers?
Yeah, so the Life DNA also has it similar where they give you a breakdown, but I just took the report in raw and put it in there, and then I could compare the two. But
Okay,
they're
got it.
pretty similar in terms of
Yeah,
what it recommended, what it thought, and a lot of it like made sense. Example is like, hey, your body is very sensitive to caffeine. Naturally, I would have figured that on my own. But it's like, hey, you should watch when you intake caffeine. What are some other things like, hey, you have the ability, and I already knew this, but like you can operate on a very little sleep with
yeah,
little cognition drop. But you need to watch. You need to be careful with that, and like I definitely have done that. Like I've
yeah,
had an issue with that, and but stuff like that. It's good to get confirmation. Like that stuff's in your DNA.
yeah,
Versus like, well, am I just weird? Like, what? Why is it that I do this and this and this? It's good to see it and report it and
yeah.
know like you're just predisposed to these things, so you should be careful of it. It's nice. To
I haven't used as much of those use cases, but I definitely like next time I do my annual physical, I'm gonna put it in and see what kind of report I get out and
Yeah,
how
I
useful
put
that
in
is.
like blood reports and then like your annual checkup, your physical, your doctor's notes. I put it all in there and put it saved to my memory for my personal file. And then when I keep tacking on these things, it'll go back and be like, hey, last time because you don't remember half the stuff. It'll be like, hey,
No,
last time your results were this, and this time it's trending in this way. Maybe you should do this. That's pretty cool
yeah.
for it to watch out.
Obviously, you and I, by virtue of this podcast, by virtue of the industry that we're in, and just things we find interesting, we're using these tools maybe more heavily than other folks. And it's made me think about my kids and
Yes.
their usage of these tools. How do you think about that? Like, I don't even know if I'm there on kind of how like the way to expose them or how to get them at a place where it can be helpful versus not, or like when to do that. Have you done any thinking around that?
I have actually. Well, my daughter is very curious about these things,
Yeah,
and she's 11 and coming on 12. But I definitely introduced it to her and said, "Hey, I type it in. And this is what I do. Like this is how I use it. You should play around with it and see what is useful for you." And like it's I see her using it every once in a while. I'll check because I use the same account, so she can see what
yeah,
I
yeah,
the vice versa, which is also a great forcing function of like keeping it clean in there and not saying going crazy in there. Like share the account with someone, and then you can learn about what they're curious about and stuff like where is this from? What's this word from? Like what's the history? Because I
yeah,
like to joke around and make stuff up, and she'll go and fact check it, and then she'll make design. She likes making art, but she'll put it in and say, "Hey, I'm trying to make this. How do I draw? What are the things you could help me?" And then it gives her
yeah,
practical advice. I feel like it's great for kids that have early access to that, so their mind starts thinking about ways to interact with these
Yeah,
tools.
I feel like
Maybe
it.
it is like not useful later, but it's kind of nice.
No, I think it's a combination. I feel like for inquisitive kids and for inquisitive minds, the fact that they have access to any information that's ever existed and can have conversation, about it and create a quiz off that and deepen their learning and understanding. I think that's amazing. I think there are probably some fundamentals where you want a combination between kind of more traditional learning. If you're learning like sentence structure and how to write well and et cetera, because I feel like these tools can help to accelerate the speed at which you're of
Right.
outputs, but you have to have kind of like a basal, like a foundational understanding
Yes.
of good sentence structure and how to convey ideas, et cetera, to really make it powerful. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the combination is between
Yeah,
those two things.
I asked ChatGPT in the voice format to become I think it was like beginning of the summer. I said, "Hey, my kids, it's summertime. I want them to get ahead in math. Pull up the curriculum for a second grader. Become a tutor." It didn't do a great job. It wasn't. It's
Mm,
not ready for that level, but it
yeah,
tried. Like, hey,
yeah,
here's the plan for today, and my kid was like, "What is this? Like, I'm not doing that." But like you could see the possibilities for something like that, where you could set the tone
yeah,
to be like, hey, look, it's summer and I've got an hour a week that I want to dedicate to math. Come up with the curriculum. You're the teacher. We'll
yeah,
check in with you. How's it like? Record all the responses in your memory. Tell me how he's doing, where he should she be. You can upload some math results from his report card. Pretty cool. Like those are possibility. It's not quite there,
yeah,
but I think that there's some neat things, and then they can start interacting with this thing early. But you're right, it's a little weird and a little scary because you don't know how this thing's going to play out.
yeah. But I think you can't be so apprehensive that you don't like experiment,
Yeah, yeah. Keep
like
them
say,
safe. It's also equally scary because they're going to be so behind
I
uh,
know,
that they're when this stuff does come out. Yeah, the thing that always gets me is like we're in the process of building a machine that is smarter than us, and we don't know how it's going to act and perform and think in the
yep.
future. So that's my only hesitancy with all of this stuff is that we just don't know what this thing is going to turn into. The Skynet stuff seems like on the table now, right?
Oh
Like
no, for sure, it's on the table.
it's on the
I think it's for
table.
sure.
It may not happen, but it's like on the table at least. All of our worst fears in sci-fi movies are on the table, and now it's kind of like and the opposite Jetsons stuff in positive things are there too. So it's kind of like I don't know where to go. So I always tread carefully, and I'm just hope I'm making the right call.
Yeah, just stay inquisitive, stay leaned in, be willing to experiment, but also, don't compromise certain values or things that you think are important.
Is there anything you're going to do in the future with the test on AI that maybe we can come back and report on?
I am working one of the startups I'm working with is doing some really cool stuff within kind of online learning space, platform for homeschooling, and they're working on some really cool kind of on the frontier AI related learning stuff. May try to my kids are a little young, but I may try to kind of incorporate some of that into what they're
Cool.
doing and provide some feedback, or maybe bring one of the founders on
Great. The
our
other thing I
podcast.
was
That'd be
thinking
fun.
would be cool one day. I mean, we're going to have the BART people come, I think, in 2 weeks. I think it is.
I think so. Yeah.
And then for the ad, which by the way I think it's finished this week. So we'll have a full report with the BART people on the BART team on how that did, what we could do next, thoughts on all the sort of out of home ads. So stay tuned for
Yep.
that. The other thing I was thinking would be cool is to have a voice, to have ChatGPT or one of these tools
Mm-hmm.
join us on a podcast because I think they could do that now. So
Yeah.
we say you're a guest on our podcast. Here's the history. Come on and participate. I think it'd be interesting. We'll have them come on for a little,
I'm with it.
and we
I love that.
ask him a few questions. We see what his response unedited, and then that's part of the show.
Let's do it.
Maybe at the end. At the end, it's ask ChatGPT or ask our AI bot some questions.
Yeah. And for our community, if you have anything that you want us to try, and get feedback on, we'd be happy to do that. this whole thing has been an experiment for Tito and I to just get some time together and chat about what's going on in the news and try different stuff. So any ideas, we're like more than open to testing things out. So we'll love if you have any feedback either here or DM on LinkedIn or whatever else.
Yeah,
let
we
us know.
noticed the last Grok 4 versus ChatGPT did really well, almost 1,000 views. Thank you for all the people that tuned in. It sounds like that, and maybe that was just a good title, or maybe we caught lightning in a bottle, but we'll try more of that and see if we can't do it again.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Until then, it's been real, man, as always. All right.